podcast of You Can't Make This Shit Up. We are here at the Oxford Sports Pub and Secret Society. I'm Joel Hoxley.
I'm James Auffant.
Jimmy, I'm so glad you're here.
Oh,
I can call you Jimmy, right?
You can call me Jimmy as long as you don't call me late for lunch.
Oh, that's my my kids they don't get that one, and I use it all the time.
I know.
You can't make this shit up. Kids don't understand anything now. So, what we wanted, so you and I have had like some phenomenal conversations,
Yes,
over the past, I've always wanted to do the show with you because it's like crossfire all over again. But nowadays it seems like you and I are talking about our own parties.
they're in shit.
They're fucked up.
Yes.
So it's like, where do we start? I mean, like, the Republicans get a 19 point win with the governor, and people like me are sitting there snickering because it was two Republicans running against each other.
You got that right. And the one that's a Democrat was more conservative than the one that was running as a Republican.
Yeah, and we got to get rid of these judges because they were appointed by Republicans, and all of a sudden you're like, two of those judges were appointed by your candidates running for governor.
Yeah.
So you can't make this shit up.
But your party decided to change 180%. Now it's controlled strictly by the Trump people, not by the DeSantis people. The state party right now is controlled by the Trump people, which is kind of interesting because we know there's a competition between both.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I've told you this.
Yes.
So you say that from your perspective as a Democrat.
That's a good thing.
And you see that. But let's talk about internally, because I have talked to David about this, but I don't know if you've actually watched that episode. I'm now in Seminole County Republican Executive Committee.
Okay.
I go to the meeting. Now I go to the meeting, skipping meeting because the budget's fucked up. They don't know how to do a budget because they're brand new. All of these recs have like people that came out of nowhere, and they're leading these recs now. So they don't know exactly how the model constitution works.
Okay.
So they come in, and I go to this meeting, and I say, let these guys revisit the budget, because this treasurer is trying to do his job, and you got $45,000 set aside for campaigning in a year where there's no campaign. So
Okay.
So what are you going to do? So no, that's the money to do the fundraiser. No, it's not. It's not the money to do the fundraiser until you get it voted to be that. And then they attack me like I'm a Democrat because I'm trying to give a motion to allow them to revisit the budget so they could get it right. Because you only have one shot at it in January unless you have somebody who puts it forward. And then they kick out the former chair who's had excused absences because they just don't like him. And then they had to reinstate him because they broke the law. You can't make this shit up. It gets even better than that, because these Trump people had to change our agenda, because they had an agenda item that got some people very upset. They were literally going to try to endorse Donald Trump at our meeting with Rule 8. You can't make it up.
And that shows you that there was a time, and this is, look, my party is fucked up because we do the same things since Governor Charles. And much of the people who are listening to this podcast might not even know who Governor Charles is. He created that system because our chairperson stole money from the party. It's a known factor. Mm-hmm. And basically then he decided to make the local parties stronger, and basically the Florida Democratic Party is one in appearance. House victory runs the House races. Senate victory runs the Senate victories. Statewide candidates run their own campaigns. So basically the state party doesn't do much of anything. The person we elect is a fundraiser, run rate funds to support the office, and basically there's nothing else that you do. There is no help whatsoever from our state party. But what I always admired from the Republicans and from afar was that until recently, they had their shit together. They got a person who was a state representative. They made him a speaker. They made him a congressman. And then he was going to run for governor as a farmer out of Lake County. And that was the person who was anointed. And to the center said, fuck you all. I'm taking over the party with the help of Trump. And you're going down. Then what happened is that Trump has said to DeSantis, fuck you. I'm putting my people in all the local party things and in the state party things also. So basically, you're out of power in the state of Florida. I'm running the state of Florida.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off. I really don't. But this is important because what you're saying is so true when you look at the fact that not only is he calling him desanctimonious or whatever he's saying, he's ridiculing, he's bringing him down. He's basically now suing him because he's saying he's running a campaign, which he's technically not. But Donald Trump sees him as a threat. He's going to go after him. And the people that love Donald Trump are in power here, and they're going down that same road. Why would, if I need anything done, why would I piss off the governor by endorsing Donald Trump? Or are we going to try to endorse Donald Trump early enough so DeSantis doesn't get in? If DeSantis is going to get in, he's going to get in.
Yeah, he will get in, and even a endorsement doesn't mean anything because at the end of the day, the votes go according to the primary, which in this state, if things go the way they do, I think here's where DeSantis didn't see the handwriting on the wall. He got elected with the support of the Trump people. Let's stop calling it.
No, he admits it in his book.
Yeah.
See, here's where, Donald Trump attacks DeSantis. Okay, he just openly attacks him. He's nobody. He would be nobody without my endorsement. And yet, DeSantis is in his book telling everybody that he knew that he had a chance with the endorsement of Donald Trump, and he took that opportunity to get the endorsement.
But now he's going to run against him, so now it's not.
So now all of a sudden,
he's wanting to run against him with the support of the people.
But DeSantis right now is playing above board, right? Like all these insiders did, like Jeb Bush, who was trying to do it above board. They didn't want to go down into the mud, and they got smacked down. They don't exist anymore.
Yeah, and let's remember one thing. When people tell me DeSantis this, DeSantis that, you just brought up a name that in 2016 was the front runner was Jeb Bush. He had all the money. He had all the supports of the different parties in the states, and he went nowhere. I hate to say this. Right now, both parties, my party, is going to run a person in their 80s, and they have done an excellent job of suppressing the liberal and progressive vote. They have done an excellent job of doing that. And basically, your party, the candidate is going to be Trump. And I'll predict that today.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. There's going to be more than 5 people running in that race. With 4 or more, his 39% will give you a victory.
Here's one for you.
Yeah.
We won't let a judge be over 74 years old.
Yeah.
And yet we're going to have 2 people running for president of the United States that are both over 74 years old.
And there's nothing wrong with 74. For the record, I'm 74. But
but I'm just saying, it's like, look, when do you retire? Why? I mean, you can be 35 years old and be president of the United States, and nobody's ever going to do it.
No. And the sad part is that basically it's a clinch to power. It's a clinch to do nothing. It's a clinch for the status quo because realistically, Trump has proven he doesn't know how to govern. The little governance that was there was done by Pence, and people won't admit that, but it was.
Listen, I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to say Pence was the best thing Donald Trump ever had for his entire administration.
Correct.
And I say that with everybody who hates him, not realizing that he must have taken a deep breath every time he had to go out and speak on behalf of the government, because he was trying to keep things even keel. And he has to, and he never wavered from supporting Donald Trump. He never, ever badmouthed him. He never did anything to piss off the Trump, because he knew that's Donald Trump. You piss him off,
and that's it.
And that's it. I mean, just the smallest thing pisses him off, and you're gone. Like, you're fired. All this show and everything. So
what are the perspectives now? This is my concern. My party has elected a progressive, has elected a woman who has had office in the state as
we're talking about Nikki Free right now. Okay.
Nikki Free, and who basically, if she knows what she's doing, can try to turn around the party. And it's very simple. David and I have given her indication what she needs to do. But my concern is more your party. If it's going to fall, the one thing that I always admired about it was that until DeSantis came aboard, it was a party of respect. It was a party that realized that, yes, they had to deal with the Democrats. It was a party that did not try to go overboard as much as it could have because of its control of the House and Senate.
When I grew up, same thing you're saying. It's like we always thought we were getting beat because we were just too nice. Like we would always try to compromise. We would always, try to do the right thing. Hey, Newt had an affair. Newt resigned. All this other stuff, and it was just, you always had a little bit of respect for the fact that, yeah, if you talked about morals and you didn't have morals, you got out of the way. You never to return. But now, Newt Gingrich is back louder than ever before because we don't care about morals anymore.
We stopped caring morals in the 90s.
We want these talented. We want movie stars. We want whoever is like the best looking or the best. It just, you can't make it. They have to be popular. Only reason Biden is in office right now, for any reason, is because he was the vice president to Obama.
Not really. I had to.
No. I'm going to say the name recognition.
Oh, yes,
is what happens. You can say what I get it, what you're going to try to say, but I'm saying for that reason, that's the only reason he has the name recognition, because he ran 9 times
before that. Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even get out of the primary. He never got out of New Hampshire.
Yeah, and what really helped him this time is kind of interesting, because I like how people change histories. South Carolina did not turn around. South Carolina was the first state that he won, but the delegate count was still in favor of Sanders. Mm-hmm. Then the pandemic hit, and then a lot of the New York suspended theirs, and basically the party gave it to Biden. And basically, with the pandemic, a lot of the people who did not go out to vote, and the results of those primaries are highly suspect, in my opinion. But let's get this clear. Prior to that, Bernie was ahead by a lot.
Well, I mean, the only reason that Biden even came close, I mean, he would have never won South Carolina if it weren't for the senator, the black senator, congressman. Excuse me. God,
you promoted him. He would.
I think he would have been a senator if he ever ran, because he's that popular. But I mean, he got a black endorsement that was huge.
Yeah.
And I don't ever say endorsements help somebody, but when you're Joe Biden in the black community and you've proven over and over again that you're an idiot when it comes to, the black population. I mean, he said some really incredibly stupid things.
Oh,
and yet it all disappears because one person gives him an awesome endorsement. He wins South Carolina, and everybody thinks he's won the race.
And South Carolina is one of the smallest states. And the amount of votes that he got were very limited. But the truth of the matter is that my party is struggling between what I call the conservatives who control the party and the liberals who basically are trying and have proven that if you want to see resurgence, Bernie prove it to you. Got the youth, got everybody, and he has a message out there that might scare some people, and I understand that, but it's a message that is resonating with the youth. Everybody under 45, Bernie.
Yeah, because they don't want to work for a living.
Well,
That's
hey,
me being sarcastic.
Look. The truth of the matter is that the problem is that we've been using the same system for the last 60 years and still think we don't need to adjust it. We don't need to tweak it or do anything.
So I want to kind of capitalize on what you said. You have the establishment still in control, where our establishment has been kicked out and lost control. I love to talk about Democrats and Republicans in the fact that we believe in the republic and we use such a democracy in our recs and everything else. There's secret ballots, everything else, and we try to keep it very democratic, which is funny because I've gone and seen you guys have super delegates and you have all these different things that are in place to try to keep somebody like Bernie out. Like Bernie was out the minute he got in because they started moving the levers early. Hillary started getting those super delegates right away to try to lock them up because that gave her the advantage. So, I mean, I'm back off that, but I see like you have to have, you get a man elected as the chairman, you have to have a woman as the vice chairman.
Correct.
Okay. What's democratic about that? No, what's that? You can't vote for the second one. You really not being able to vote for who you want.
Well, the problem with that was basically trying to create a balance. And I agree. There's nothing democratic about trying to create a balance.
Yeah, and it's just not.
It's like a statewide level. It's kind of funny. We do a lot of things for tokenism because vice chairs don't do much.
No, the only thing they do is step up when the chairman's not there. And do you think the chairman ever gives them the time of day? No. I don't want you on the news. I don't want you taking over that news conference. I don't want you to be anywhere.
So yeah, and it is a problem that a lot of people and I know that when they try to do something that shows fairness, sometimes it backfires.
Yeah, equal's not fair. Fair is not equal.
But right now, it's kind of interesting because the chair in Orange County is a woman, so they had to elect the vice chair a man. So,
hey, we have Cherry is our new chairman. He's black, and I think it's funny that it's just funny in the way that he is from the grassroots for America kind of thing. He's really on the Trump bandwagon. He's fully bought into that world, and it's the fact that he's trying so hard to be so Trumpish that they're screwing themselves up. So when you raise money for your county, you raise money for your county in your county because you want to help your county, right? Always want to help your county. So Correct. You want to pay that money that you raised in the county you live. No, not these guys. They want to have a specific person who is not even a politician, but he is a politician because he is son of a president. Wink, wink. And they think they're going to pay like $250 to go to a Lincoln Day because it's got the president's son shares a name. I don't think it's going to happen. And then you want to do it in Orange County because you think that the venue has to be so big that you can't house them in your own county.
Oh, that shows you how mistaken they are. And not only that, the problem with that is that the people who go to Lincoln dinners are not Trump people.
No, the people that actually have money are not. As people think that there's a lot of people when you were fundraising, because I do a lot with people that fundraise. I don't fundraise. I hate those conversations. But those people that fundraise have fundraisers saying, don't mention Donald Trump, or don't do this, don't do this, don't do this.
Yeah.
Now, if you have to have a conversation where you can't talk about the thing that you love the most about your party to raise money, you have a problem.
Well, yes. And the problem that you have is that in both parties, it's kind of interesting. And the Democratic Party is trying to be politically correct, which I never understood the concept because it is not a liberal concept. I'm not sure who created it. Liberals, we accept you all for what you are. We don't care where you come from. What we do not elect is you being discriminated against because of the color of your skin or where you come from. But we don't try to say things to make you feel good or not to make you feel bad. Look, the truth of the matter is that right now we have come down in a country where basically you have people who have an agenda of making America great again, which is the theme of Trump. Let's call it that.
We want to build back better, okay?
Okay. And I'm not sure when America stopped being great, but
listen. This is where the power of why Joel's thinking is so. Like, I'm a big Republican. I mean, you call me a rhino, I will tell you, absolutely not. I believe in the party from the moment it was. I wasn't around, but the moment it became a party was because of abolitionists.
Correct.
The abolitionists needed to unite so they could actually get something done.
as a matter of fact, it was considered a liberal party back then, if you want to be honest.
Well, we're not going to go there, but still,
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln, he wasn't planning on freeing the slaves. He wasn't planning on freeing the slaves. He was planning on letting slavery die. Like, no more slavery, but he wasn't going to take and get rid of it. And when he finally did decide, when he decided to free the black slaves, what was his intent? And first was to send them back to their country, which wouldn't have been their country because they had lived here and been born here.
Well, and then he decided to call Liberia and purchase the property and create a flag that looks like a lot like the United States. Yes, the truth of the matter is that what the problem that people don't understand, it was not Abraham Lincoln. The South realized that the Republican Party was controlled by abolitionists. They realized that. They say, okay, they put him in power. They're going to be pushing to free the slaves. They saw that, and that's why they divided. And it was not only because they saw him, but they saw that the Republican Party was there for that. Strangely, it was not there to give the woman vote, but that's another story.
No, but that comes down the road. Listen, I'm with you 100%, because when you look at the history, my favorite historical character, as far as I idolize, just phenomenal, is Frederick Douglass.
Okay.
He never supported Abraham Lincoln. He did converse with him. He did convince him that, that these people were actually here in the United States. They were born here, so they don't have another country. So that was something they clarified. But the women were upset with him because he didn't go after the women's vote. But Republicans did eventually go after it. So I always say the Republicans do what they're supposed to, and then they go off to do the next thing, and then the Democrats take the credit for it. So,
yeah, but it is what it is. But realistically, I'm concerned where your party's going here in the state of Florida.
Well, I'm concerned where your party's going because you're absolutely
doing nothing. At least we're doing nothing.
Well, you're printing so much money, and you're trying to give everybody so much money. It's like you can't. This is not our inflation. Well, who printed the extra money? Who's paying all these bills?
Okay,
you guys just don't think that there's the government spending is different than your pocketbook. Like, hey, I have to balance my budget, but we send Republicans out there that say we're going to balance our budget,
and they
never do.
Okay, let's get this clear. The last president to balance the budget was a Democrat, even though some people call him a
with a
Dino.
with a Republican Congress.
Okay, and then he was replaced by a Republican Congress, a Republican president, and a Republican Senate, and they went out of wacko. Yes, they created the college departments, but they went way, way out of whack. Then, by the time that Obama came in power, he had 2 years. The other 6 were controlled by the House and the Senate, and by Republicans. And I did not see one effort by any of them, including the president of the Senate at that time, and who still is around.
He's at home recovering from a fall. So.
Yes, but that's how old he is. But that's beside the point. At certain age, falls come with nature. But the thing is, I did not see them, and the budget went out of wacko again. To be quite honest, yes, there were tax cuts done by Trump, but that put the budget also out of wacko and created a.
See, this is the thing. This is the thing that people don't understand. They don't understand how the balanced budget, how a balanced budget or when we have, we always have debt.
Yeah.
But when Clinton came along and he did have a surplus, what is the surplus? The surplus doesn't go where it's supposed to go, because the surplus goes towards Social Security and all these other things that are being, have to be solvent. So we've been stealing from Social Security to make up for budget loss forever.
Well,
and nobody wants to even address that. Like, why have we been taking money from one place to put it in another? I mean, shell game is a shell game.
It is. And the problem that you have is that most people do not know that I have something in common with Warren Buffett.
You do? You own the same house that you started with, right?
No.
What's that?
Under the FICA law, the first $118,500 is taxable for Social Security. Past that, you do not pay a cent. We both passed our first $118,500 that we make a year. We pay FICA Social Security tax. Past that, we don't pay a cent. So the rich and the millionaires and the billionaires don't pay their fair share. You put that up to par, and you would save Social Security, and you would not have, and basically that would take care of it. The second thing you need to do is stop stealing from it.
We won't have an argument on that, but that's another day. We're going to Social Security another day because we don't have time for that one. But I do want to address the fact that both parties are fucked up
majorly,
and
one by not doing anything, and the other one is in a dangerous situation.
We're in a very dangerous situation, but people just don't see it right now. We need to do something, but what we do is we do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result.
Oh, no. Both parties are trying to prove that Einstein was a genius when he said that the theory of what is doing the same thing again and again is insanity.
Yeah, insanity. Like he
said
defined it for us, right?
He defined it, but we have gone out to our
we do
to prove him right.
Right. I can't tell you how many times I've been very disappointed by saying, "Hey, I want to put this person up in Washington D.C. because they talk a good game, and I think they're really going to do something." They never do anything.
The only person that is starting to surprise me, and I'm going to say it publicly because he's my congressman, and I thought he was going to just be different, but he's trying to pass laws that make sense and is trying to still deal with gun control, which was that he said he was going to do, is Maxwell Force. That he's going nowhere is another issue. It's another issue. At least I have to, if I'm going to give him credit for saying this is what I'm going to do.
Listen, Corey Mills is a stand-up guy because he understands that what the state is doing. He comes out and says, "You guys got to stop doing this, attacking the First Amendment. Absolutely got to." So he gets like big. I've always been a fan of him, and now that he's like standing up for the fact that the First Amendment is the First Amendment and needs to be respected, that's a good move for our congressman. And it pleased me that he was doing what his job is to remind the state that there is a federal constitution, and the 10th Amendment doesn't take into consideration everything else.
And the freedom of expression is probably the base and the fundamental base of our democracy. Everything else is secondary. Because if you want to defend your right to bear arms, which, by the way, there's no such a thing as a right to bear arms.
Oh, no, you're not going to get into that one.
No. The Second Amendment says that the Congress that a good militia can bear arms. A good militia, a well-regulated, and the person who's supposed to regulate is congressman.
So the Supreme Court has made that decision, and
they're wrong.
No, they're not wrong.
They're wrong.
They're not wrong.
Look, I hate to say this. I'm a member of the United States Supreme Court as an attorney, and I agree with every decision that they made? No. Does anybody agree with every decision that they made?
The thing is that I'm not a lawyer, but the one thing I tell everybody is you have to read the whole thing that was written by Scalia. Now, Scalia was very clear that the federal government has no right to intervene. But he also later on in the statement says that if you're a state, you have the right to regulate. So you just put these people up into Congress because you want them to do gun control when you should be taking it up to the state house.
Well, the problem, I agree, but the Constitution says well regulated, and the Constitution is to be done by Congress. There's where Scalia and I disagree. He reads it wrongly, and I'm going to call it that way. He reads it wrongly when he says that it's the states. The Constitution says well-regulated militia, and the powers to deal with the Constitution of the United States is the Congress and the Senate of the United States. So it's not absurd to say, oh, and by the way, this is where he becomes more interesting. When the ban for assault weapons passed through, Scalia said that Congress did have that right.
You can't make this shit up, but that's a different story for another day too. You know what? I'm going to stop beating up on my party because my party is the party of moving forward. Really? And if we actually do move forward the correct way and we take the time to look at it the way we should, we can make those fixes, but we have to get organized and we have to be bold enough to stand up to stupidity. I mean, there's a lot of stupid things that are going on right now that just because you want this to go to Supreme Court, like the Speaker of the House said in response to Corey Mills's criticism that this is because we want the Supreme Court to revisit this. That's stupid.
Well, he knows that the Supreme Court is never going to revisit it for one simple reason. There's no way that passes through the Senate. We all know that what they just passed about parental thing, there's no way the votes are there in the Senate to pass it. So let's stop pretending that it's going to go to the Supreme Court. That's something to be said to the public. But the problem that I have is both parties, and I'm going to say this. You're right. The mission of your party is to go to the future. The mission of my party is to help the working man get.
No, here's a funny one for you, just because I like sarcasm. You guys keep looking back. We keep looking forward. Who's looking at today? Nobody. Thank you very much, because you can't make this shit up. And I appreciate everything you've said today.
And I appreciate the same.
I'm so glad to have this conversation. I can't wait to talk about another amendment another day. Thank you very much for joining us here on You Can't Make This Shit Up. And we just proved you can't make it up.